Are you tired of feeling held back by your negative thoughts, maybe your self-doubt or limiting beliefs? No matter how much effort you put in, what technique you try, nothing seems to break you out of the old pattern. Well, you aren't alone. So much of my life I felt powerless, I felt stuck, and I was absolutely frustrated because no matter what I did, I ended up back in the same exact situation. People would change, but circumstances remained the same. And I'm here to tell you that change is possible. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make those changes in your life. And yes, we're on another walk, and it snowed a lot here in Boulder, so it's going to be a snowy walk. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to identify and begin to challenge those limiting beliefs so that they no longer hold you back. I'm going to show you 3 different steps you can take to start breaking down that old belief system so that you can start to cultivate an empowered belief system, which is going to start taking you towards experiences that you want and allow you to attract them to you, creating the life that you really love, no matter if you're wanting to improve your career, your relationships, or create more abundance in your life. This video is going to help you with the understanding and support that you need to break free of those limiting beliefs that have been holding you back and create the life you really love. So let's get started. Well, the first thing you can do, and something that I fought for about 4 years, understand that you are unconsciously creating your life right now. There are beliefs and perceptions you have of yourself, what you deserve, or how people are supposed to treat you that you could be unconscious to. This is basically creating the lens of how you see the world, and even though you think, oh, this is reality, it's your reality because you don't see reality with your eyes, you see it with your mind. So no matter what you've been through in your life, it's going to create a belief about yourself. And realize that beliefs are not objectively true. They're a subjective view and vantage point that you have of yourself. And they were formed primarily by how you were treated by adults around you when you were younger. So if you had a caretaker who never listened to your needs, who made it all about everybody else, you could perceive that you're not worthy or that you need to people please in order to have connection. So unconsciously, all you perceive of and all you can attract, because remember, your state of being are your thoughts and your feelings. So if you have thoughts that you can't really be you and get a connection, you will go through the world and you'll attract people who agree with you. Even though that's not objectively all there is in the universe, subjectively you will draw that to you because you attract situations, people, circumstances based on your beliefs, based on your feelings, based on what you expect to happen. You first want to understand that rather than using your willpower to try to break the box out and using all your energy for affirmations or for visualizations, use that willpower to become aware of what program you've been running in. What beliefs do you have? And you could be thinking, Abby, how in the world am I supposed to become aware of something I've been unconscious to my whole life? You can begin to have compassionate inquiry, as Gabor Mate would say, and just start to ask yourself, what do I genuinely, honestly expect to happen? For me, in regards to relationships where I was trying to make my changes early on, I expected people to abandon me. I expected that if I didn't show up in the right way, if I wasn't people-pleasing the whole time, no one would be interested in me. And that shows you a low self-worth. That reveals a belief that people's love is conditional. So as I started to become aware of that and I started to be more authentic with myself and understand, well, I don't want to limit myself. That's not the relationships I'm looking for. And so you can ask yourself, what do you honestly expect? If it's about amount of money, do you expect right now that you'll get that? And if you don't, what idea pops up? Because that is your limiting belief. Well, nothing ever good happens to me. I'd be selfish if I got that money. I don't deserve it. Maybe it's about a job. Do you genuinely expect you to get the job? If not, what pops up? Well, those other people are more qualified. Those are starting to reveal limiting beliefs. As you start to see them and pull them outside of you, you can start to actually reason on them with the complexity of your adult mind. These beliefs of yourself were formed through relationships early on. So maybe when you were a little kid, somebody criticized how you drew a picture and you could think, oh gosh, my stuff is not as good as other people. And you learned or you were taught to compare yourself and that others are better than you. That's not true. That is true for that one person's perspective, and who knows what trauma they went through. Another question that can really help is, what do you fear would happen if you did have that relationship? I know that sounds funny, but for me, I actually feared being seen. I kept finding people who were emotionally unavailable because I actually, at the subconscious level, was afraid of really being seen because I didn't feel good enough. Do you fear that you'll lose connection, that if you're really yourself and you move through the world that way, people will judge you and they'll reject you and you'll be all alone? The more and more you start to ask what bad thing could happen, do you fear people would judge you as selfish if you were a millionaire? Do you fear that you will be rejected if you get the job and your other friends have had a lot of rejection? What story are you telling yourself? Because you've got to become conscious of how you've been unconsciously creating your life, and that is through those limiting beliefs. You got to use your willpower to become aware of the program, so rather than trying to break out of the box, you can just step out of the box through awareness. Now, the second thing you can do to break out of that old pattern and really let go of it is really starting to get clear on who that ideal version of you is. How do they think? How do they feel? How do they see themselves? I feel like a lot of people, and myself included early on, I wanted that relationship so I felt better. But nothing outside of you will change how you see yourself. You changing how you see yourself is what allows you to see something different in the world, which then helps you to create something new. The more you get clear on that ideal version of you, the more you can ask, okay, how would they handle this obstacle? Literally practice visualization and mental rehearsal, as Dr. Joe calls it. It's not just about thinking of that person. Oh, I'd have that money and then I'd feel really good. Oh, I'd have that relationship and then I'd feel worthy. It doesn't work that way. You will only be able to perceive of something and experience it at the same level you feel about yourself. You might be thinking, that's not true. Think about it. Have you ever gotten a compliment from somebody? If you don't see yourself the same way, you're like, maybe you say a joke or you're like, no, this, I just put this together. It's not a big deal. And you try to push it away energetically because it doesn't resonate inside you as true. So only if you update your program by becoming aware of it and stepping into a new one, can you then actually receive that ideal version of you that you're looking to create. It's really important for you to understand that something really cool that we all possess, your body does not know the difference between a really vivid and visceral imaginative practice and real life. What does that mean? That means in athletics, in my background, I would sit there and I would literally look at pictures of the stadium that I was going to compete in, and I would walk into the ring and I would have a competition before I actually had that competition, because I was getting reps in and I was training my body for that to be something natural, so that I didn't get there and be really scared and freaked out and then I'd have a poor performance. I created a set point in my body and practice over and over before I'd actually experienced it. And literally, you can put new neurological pathways in your brain. So if you did a brain scan, it would actually look like you've had that experience. You can't just fake this. You've genuinely got to practice feeling that is real. Really asking, okay, what would it feel like to genuinely expect this experience, that amount of money, that new career to happen? How would I feel if it's shocking and overwhelmed? Well, you can understand that you're still not in that feeling state because it feels foreign. You beginning to practice that ideal version of you makes it easier for you to step into it. So we've talked about becoming aware of those limiting beliefs. We've talked about creating that new version of you. So the third thing you can do to really break out of that pattern, to really start dissolving those limiting beliefs, is to understand you are worthy. And something might pop up in your body right now and like, no, you don't know me, Abby. I haven't done this, and that. If I do this, and that, then I'll be worthy. No, actually, your worthiness is an inherited part of yourself. And anything that comes up that makes you think that you're not worthy happened to you when you were younger. Somebody else's treatment of you, what has given you this misunderstanding of yourself. So somebody's opinion, expectation, or judgments, the way somebody treated you early on, and their emotional immaturity, their lack of emotional capacity, you thought was about you. So if early on you had a parent who was just not emotionally available, maybe every time you reached out to connect, they said you were too much or they never had the time, and you thought, oh, if I was good enough, if I could have done that or got a good grade, then they would have given me that attention. But a really hard thing to realize is nothing you could have done could have given them that capacity, because it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with them. But you were a child, and I put them on a pedestal because they know more than you, because your survival depends on their competence. So you took that as your own. So as you start to realize, wait a second, what if the reason I think I'm not good enough and unworthy is because of the treatment by these adults? What if how they perceive the situation was about their wounds? And I was just an innocent, beautiful, wonderful child who deserved all the love, all the connection, and all of my needs to be met. But the lack of availability was not a reflection of me. It was a reflection of what the caregivers lacked as you grew up. As you start to realize this, it can begin to radically change your perspective. And a huge thing you can do in combination with becoming aware of your own worthiness is to start to look and become aware. Use that willpower in the moment. If somebody doesn't call you back, do you put the meaning of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy? Because realize that you're not seeing that situation through your adult mind, you're seeing it back when you were 4 years old or 3 years old, and your need being met was dependent on the other person. And potentially why you feel so stuck right now is you're relating to your quality of life, to your needs getting met through somebody else. Their validation, their permission, their approval. If this is the case, you're not wrong or bad, but you're relating to yourself through the eyes of that kid whose need didn't get met, and they were hoping and waiting that that adult would care enough to meet their need. And if the adult didn't, you thought it was you. But what you got to see is, oh, hang on, the story I'm telling myself is that I got to make them happy. And if I make them happy, then I'll get the connection I need. Now, that is a dynamic of when you were younger. But as you become aware of it and realize, no, I have the authority and I have the sovereignty to take care of myself. I can start being aware of what my needs are, how to start to meet them on my own, and how to begin to ask for them from other people, starting to become aware of who is emotionally available and who I emotionally have to chase or beg or plead. And actually I can see me repeating that dynamic from early on. You will be attracted to and drawn to people who basically help you recreate an unresolved issue. You don't have to continue with them. As you become aware of yourself and your situation, you can begin to heal that trauma. And a trauma is not what happened outside of you. It's what that event caused inside of you. There's a stunting, and then you began to edit and move in the world in a different way, a way that felt safe. So as you can resolve that and realize you're safe now, and you being your whole authentic version of you is really the gateway to authentic connection. The more and more you start to understand yourself, break out of those old meanings you're putting on situations. That is one of the biggest things that can change your life in 2023, is understanding the meanings you're putting on situations. How are you interpreting it? You don't get the job, it's because I'm not good enough. Hang on. Whoa. Let me breathe. Let me do my ABCs, become aware that I'm telling myself an old story, breathe to calm my nervous system, and make a new choice. A choice that aligns with that version of you that's your truth. You're worthy, you're deserving of whatever it is you're wanting. You're worthy and deserving of having your needs met. The more and more you start to become aware of this, the more and more you'll update of what kind of behavior is acceptable to you, and anyone or anything that's not meeting your needs will actually become not attractive. So the more you understand this, the more you can break out of that old pattern, because you deserve it. If it's hard for you to believe all of this before there's any proof in your outside world, this next video right here is going to break it down even further. I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't done so already, join this community, and I will see you on the next one.